Welcome to the SecurityDNA podcast, powered by SecurityInfoWatch. This is your front line for bold insights and real intelligence that cuts through the noise and gets straight to what matters most. I'm Samantha Schober, assistant editor of SecurityInfoWatch and the producer of today's episode. At SecurityInfoWatch, we deliver sharp, real-time insights into the biggest challenges facing security and risk professionals. From emerging threats to game-changing technologies, we go beyond the headlines to provide expert analysis, real-world strategies, and critical risk intelligence, giving you the knowledge you need to stay ahead in this rapidly evolving landscape. My colleague, Steve Lasky, a seasoned security industry veteran with over 35 years of experience, will join us today. As the editorial director for the security group at Endeavor Business Media, Steve brings deep expertise and a unique perspective to every conversation. Today we have a compelling guest as Steve welcomes Michael Niola, principal and co-founder of Consulting Group LLC. So let's get started. With over 2 decades of experience in physical security, Michael Niola is a seasoned expert and co-founder of Consulting Group LLC, where he leads strategic security design and engineering solutions across critical built environments. A certified physical security professional, an expert in crime prevention through environmental design, Niola brings deep technical mastery to projects in healthcare, data centers, education, transportation, and corporate settings. Recognized for his goal to foster purpose-driven innovation, he integrates security, safety, and operational technologies to create resilient, smart environments. Drawing on technical excellence and cross-disciplinary collaboration, Michael delivers security solutions that are realistic, flexible, and aligned with evolving industry needs. And with that, let's turn it over to Steve.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Welcome to today's episode of Security DNA. And today we're going to delve into the rapidly evolving world of physical security and systems design with our guest, Michael Niola, who is at the forefront of redefining how security integrators build into their environments and into the broader enterprise that they serve. From the push towards seamless integrated systems and one-card access control to security's growing role as a value-generating asset, not just a cost center, Michael will unpack how these trends are reshaping the landscape. We will explore why early collaboration with architects and other design professionals is critical, how the race to deliver secure data centers faster is transforming project delivery, and why the industry must respond to the silent wave of senior-level retirements looming just ahead. We'll also cut through the noise on AI in security, assess the unrealized promises of smart buildings and cities, and discuss why designing security into buildings from day one, rather than tacking it on as an afterthought, may be the most important shift of all. We're hoping these are not trends, but these are call to actions for the next generation of security leaders. So with that, Michael, why don't we get into it?
Absolutely.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Happy to be here. Happy to be having this conversation with you. And if I could start with one quick note, I'm also really happy to see that the security industry is embracing this podcast format, and there's more information going out there in this sort of new media. I think it's a really important part of how we can continue to spread awareness on what we do and start to engage younger generations. One of the points that you mentioned there that we should be getting into.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I mean, that's, everybody's coming out with a podcast, but I think we need to keep it relevant. We need to keep them focused, and that's what we're trying to do here. Obviously, we're the number one security media platform in North America, one of the biggest ones in the world as well. But as we see, everything's moving digitally. If you don't have podcasts, webcasts, and video and a YouTube channel, you're definitely missing, like you say, the next generation of security leaders for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the future of integrated systems. Security has emerged as a central and driving force as we continue to push forward with integrated systems. And as we think of the one-card solution philosophies in higher ed, which are based on building credentials around either a smart card or some sort of other like phone or something that people are going to carry and never lose. Let's talk about the budgetary concerns, the security concerns about that whole future of integrated systems, especially when we're trying to use streamlining our tokens for access control.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good place to start. Maybe we can start with what do we mean by integrated systems, right? Because we as in the design industry, we've all been talking about integrating our systems for some time now. But we're really seeing now is that's within the security realm. That means more than just integrating your access with your video, for example. It's a broader net now. Now we're seeing the need to integrate security systems with your ERP or where your building management systems, or in the example of higher ed with meal planning and housing management systems. That's the not a trend. That's really where the design world is going for a number of different reasons, right? But what is important here, or what I think is exciting at least, is that security in many ways is positioned to be the driving force for that, right? So if in the higher ed example, right, they're implementing a one card philosophy where they essentially want to be able to do more with their credential than just unlock or open a room. They want to be able to use it for purchasing their meals, or using for renting a laptop or renting equipment at a lab for accessing, getting into events. You know, if you purchased a ticket to an event, that could be on your card as well, and that's all based on the credential, on the access control system. So then that becomes almost a platform, but on which to start to create this holistic environment, and that really positions the security designer and the integrator in a critical role where they have to understand all these other systems. How can they tie into all of that? And puts you in a valuable position to help your clients figure out that solution. Because in healthcare as well and in higher ed, I mean, they're all talking about how can we do more with our credential. On the healthcare side, as an example, the health systems are really becoming hypersensitive about the patient experience right now. That's their competitive edge against other health systems, right? And one of the pain points that we usually all experience in medical facilities, usually that check-in process. And well, health systems want to not only make that more seamless, which is all based on the access control system, but they want to push that function even before you get into the healthcare facility, right? Maybe you can check in from your home. Maybe you can check in as you are headed to the facility. And then when you're on the way and you check in, maybe through an app or through a browser, a web browser, but then you can arrive to the facility, and the building just knows you're there. They know the building knows what you're there for. Wayfinding can tell you where to go wait, or even what patient room to go to, and go wait there. And that's really all underscored by the security systems that allow all that to happen, with integrations to other things like wayfinding, like your ERPs, scheduling, and all of that good stuff.
It's interesting because, I've seen the evolution and, kind of centered this around tokens and cards here. But, when I got into the industry, we were still looking at Wiegand and barcode and mag stripe cards. And then, the big revelation was getting into the prox cards. And even now, we're finding issues with prox cards on, their ability to be hacked and cloned. So that makes the next iteration of what we're going to use as our tokens even more important. Kind of address that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Prox, low frequency prox has been it's been a long time now that we know it's a vulnerable communication protocol. But surprisingly, there's still lots of those readers out there, and we're all helping our clients kind of move away from that. But there's a change management challenge as part of all that with all the existing systems, right?
Right.
But you're absolutely right. Whatever the next generation is, right? High frequency prox is definitely more secure. It's only a matter of time until that becomes unsecure as well. So we have to constantly be thinking of what's the next step. There's a big move towards using mobile credentials and using the security functions of your phone. And generally, we all kind of take better care of our phones than we do of a badge anyway. So that's good. But there's going to be a next step to that at some point as well. I think that's where AI might play a big role. And there, even if we think really far ahead, there are even some AI based challenges where now we're also going to have to we figure out ways to validate if this person, or I should say this credential coming to my portal, is that even a person or is that an AI? So yes, there's always going to be that challenge and that next step. I think as an industry, what we're doing well is realizing that it's not about the card or the badge or the phone. It's about creating and managing an identity and figuring out what's the best way to do that within a system. And there are many theories out there.
Yeah, and we'll get into the AI discussion here in a bit, but, one of the arguments about security, whether you've been a consultant, whether you're a integrator, and whether you're an end user trying to sell this to your management team, it's always been looked at as a cost center, not a value add, accoutrement. But I think as security directors and C-level security folks in the enterprise have gotten smarter, they understand that, making the business case for security with their higher ups is what's going to sell it. So, now as we're looking to move security and all the technology that's used for data collection, for intelligence, that we can improve the overall experience and really contribute a lot more to security functions than just opening a door or having a static, video surveillance being done. Talk a little bit about how the data collected by security systems right now can be used by other stakeholders, and what vertical markets are these folks making the value investments into security so they can use this to enhance their overall business operations.
Yeah, it's a great topic. I think I can start by saying if I think it's safe to say if your security system only benefits the security team, it's really underperforming in this day and age. You really need to find ways to increase the value of the system. Security professionals have always tried to figure out how to make the business case, but if you think of it from what's the initial or the core function of a security system, it's to deter or completely mitigate against incidents happening. So success is when an incident doesn't happen, and it's kind of hard to quantify that or use it as a KPI and then show, okay, well, this year we didn't have, you know, 50 events and did that save us money? Like that's it's just it's not possible to do it that way. So the industry as as supported now by the technology, the way the technology is enhancing, now we can design systems that bring value beyond just the security function of it, right? As you mentioned earlier, I think one key um, doorway that opened there is with the focus on the user experience and the ability of the security system to have an effect on the user experience with the building. Many times, the first system or the first point of contact, that physical point of contact that a human has with a facility, a physical facility, is through a security system. It's through a door hardware, or it's through an access control portal, or through a visitor management system. So that really creates an opportunity for the design of that system from the beginning to make things easier for the experience. And the way you can pr- put put like math or numbers to it, or calculate the ROI is if you start also working with other stakeholders that can use that data that you're already collecting, right? So access control systems, they have a log of who's going to which rooms, or which buildings are being used. So there's data there around room utilization, building utilization. You can then extrapolate that with if you're tagging assets, right, with RTLS, and that's all integrated into your security systems. You can look at what are my assets, my tools in a healthcare example that are being used. How often are they being used? Or can I see or even predict when I'm going to be running out of some of my tools or my assets, and using that information from the security system to help with that. So it's really about looking at what data are you collecting and what stakeholders can make use of that information. And it's going to look a little bit different for each organization. I think the point of education there is that we as security professionals need to help the other stakeholders realize, like, hey, we're holding this data that we believe is useful to you. Let's have a conversation. Would this be
Right.
helpful for you? And start having those conversations, and together coming up with what the good use cases would be.
I mean, it's a great point because, like you said, since all of our physical security systems are pretty much now network centric. It's not like we're putting mechanical locks and analog cameras up. So, uh, working with those and partnering with those architects to understand placement of technology, placement of endpoint sensors, so they can be better secured by the network. Uh, Partnering with your IT and your network administrators as the building, as you're putting things up in the building. I guess everybody needs to be on the same page here. And like you said, since security usually is the first thing that touches anybody that enters a facility, you really got to make sure the architect understands how security needs to be integrated into the facility, and it needs to go with the flow.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think the good thing is that architects are realizing that technology has a real place in enhancing the experience that we have with the built environment. So they are more than ever really open to hearing from their technology and security designers. But we're still not all on the same exact page. They really care about the aesthetics of a building, and we're adding wall wards to their stuff. But to that same point, right? Since everything's becoming a sensor, we really can't just realistically come to a project and slap sensors everywhere and expect the architect to be okay with that. We also need to increase our understanding, our respect of architecture, or even just like the design mentality and understanding why is it good for buildings to be aesthetically pleasing, because it's more than just like a visual thing. When buildings are designed a certain way visually, they actually affect the way you feel. If you can actually make an environment feel welcoming, but if you've got cameras everywhere that you can see and big card readers and bars on the window, it's not going to feel like a welcoming environment.
Right.
In healthcare, for example, and even in higher ed, right? In healthcare, it could be detrimental to the healing process. In higher ed or education in general, it could be detrimental to the learning process as well. So we absolutely need to become partners with architects and get on the same page, speak the same language as them. They're more open than ever right now. We really have to capitalize on that opportunity and learn their language. Meet them at the table where they're at.
Right. And Michael, I mean, I think that's, go into that point. That's why it's so important that there's that collaboration process, that when you're a security professional, you're talking to the architectural team, you're talking to the facility managers, you're talking to others in the business organization, because, you, explain a little bit because about why it's so important to design security into the building and not onto the building when the process is already finished. It makes it more difficult, costly, and like you said, it creates headaches for everybody.
Yeah, uh, absolutely. And this is a challenge that we kind of always had. We're in the technology world overall, not just with security, where a building is being designed or it's being planned, and technology is usually kind of the last team member that comes to the table, that is invited to the table, I should say. It's not
Right.
for lack of wanting to be there earlier. And then if that happens, then a couple of things are more challenging. You might not have the right infrastructure in place. You might need additional devices in order to achieve the security function you want. And so being there earlier, really the value that we're all looking as an industry to add when we're there earlier is, it's not even to talk about technology, it's to talk about building layout, building design, big picture items. And you're looking at paths of travel. We're looking at where are you when architects are doing their building massing, like where are you putting all these spaces? Because if you do it in a really strategic way with security in mind from the beginning, you're actually going to need less technology. You're going to need less band-aids, so cost less. And then the systems you design could also be better integrated into the architecture, more aesthetically pleasing, and everyone just wins if we're part of the discussion a lot earlier on. But the last item on that is the also now, since systems are becoming so complex, and a camera can do more than ever. A card reader can do more than ever. Everything becomes a sensor. So now the possibilities of what we can do with our systems are kind of endless. And if you're not talking to your client and your architect early on, you're going to miss the opportunity to have big picture strategic discussions around what can we do with these technology systems. If the building gets designed and then you get pulled in later on, you're kind of stuck with the skeleton or the bones that have already the framing that's already been designed, and you have to just tack your system onto that.
Right, which creates issues for everybody. It's
Yeah.
not ideal. So let's kind of just shift gears a little bit here. Um, a couple of weeks ago, our group, along with our data center group, hosted a 3-day digital seminar on data centers, everything from sustainability and cooling and water uh, uh, needs, and then security as well. And data centers seem to be the fastest growing uh, uh, facility build in the marketplace right now. So it's definitely impacting the security professionals. And as we look as designers and integrators, we need to really partner and collaborate from the start so we can meet the energy needs, the security needs, and the sustainability needs of a data center. I know you just wrote an article for editor Paul Rothman for Security Business on data centers, and it'll be coming out in the August issue. But talk a little bit about this kind of niche market, but it's a really dynamic market, and it's really an opportunity for security professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all are aware of the massive growth in the rate of construction of data centers, right? And it really is a like a speed to market thing with all of the data center operators and the hyperscalers, right? They're trying to design this as fast as possible and build it as fast as possible. And just from that perspective, that already creates a lot of new challenges for the design professionals. Typically, you were set in 8 months, 12 months sometimes of a design phase where the design consultant is doing their thing. They're meeting with the stakeholders, getting all their requirements and documenting all of that. And then there's a bidding process. You get an integrator on board. Then there's some knowledge transfer through the documentation. I mean, all of that is now, in most cases, being condensed to a 12 to maybe 16-week design process, which sounds crazy. It feels crazy, but you got to figure out how to do it. And that's what's making it really important right now for security designers and planners to really partner with security contractors early on. It's no secret that that the design versus the construction side of the house have always kind of been at ends, and the construction, the people in the field are sometimes like, yeah, these engineers and designers, they don't know real world conditions, or engineers like, hey, these field individuals don't understand the complexity of systems. Well, that's that has to kind of stop now, and we need to just come together. And from the beginning, we have to be collaborative because that timeline is really condensed. The knowledge, we don't have the luxury of going through months of knowledge transfer. There's some important information that the design professionals are gathering from the end users when they're talking about how do you want to use your space? How many guards do you have? What are the functions that the technology needs to support? That all translates to how do you program your devices? What are you gonna program into the system on the software in the back end when it's being installed? And if there's a disconnect there between those requirements that the design professional is gathering and what the integrator is going to install and program, you're starting off on the wrong foot. So we really got to get together from the start, be integrating, be collaborative from the start, and so in some cases find new ways of doing that knowledge transfer between those two parties.
And because it's a lot more complex environment because of compliance and regulatory issues that are cropping up to now too. So that's a whole different topic. Um,
Exactly.
so as we're talking about all this advanced technology, you mentioned AI, and I mean, again, you and I both have been in the industry long enough. We can remember when the topic of video analytics came in, and everybody had an analytic, but most of them had motion sensors that really didn't do anything anything smarter than lighting up on a screen. And so, it was more hype than it was performance. And we're sort of guys in that same phase right now with AI. But there really are some real opportunities. Everybody on the ISC West floor had an AI function, whether you're dealing with agentic AI or AI powered analytics on the back end. There are opportunities, but there are also pitfalls that if I'm an end user, I need to be, looking out for. Kind of go through that real quickly about, uh, you know, what the hype is all about and where the future lies.
Yeah, absolutely. I might have mentioned this earlier. I mean, we're definitely still in the AI hype cycle, and very similar to how video analytics was a big marketing buzzword for a while. I think saying something is AI is also marketing buzzword right now. Sometimes there's a claim that something is AI when it really isn't. There's some algorithms or some sophisticated logic, but it's not truly AI. But there are still some very real use cases for AI. I see them in kind of a couple of buckets, right? One is the agentic AI and using AI agents to almost as like digital colleagues to guard the guard force, right? They could be a force multiplier in your security operations center, right? They could be it's technology that could be in your system, monitoring your cameras, monitoring your scenes, monitoring your access control logs, which becomes increasingly important as our sites are growing in the number of cameras and devices, right? A human can only look at so many pixels on a screen, so many scenes on a screen. And AI it does not have that limitation. So you can have agents that are in your system monitoring your cameras for you, and not only monitoring, but learning the scenes and learning what's normal on a Tuesday afternoon in this room, right? And if on a specific day there's activity that is out of the norm, it can flag you towards that. And that's where one area where I see AI is very useful, the agentic side of things. And then also in the back end, when we're using AI in conjunction, like on a camera to make the camera's onboard analytics smarter or more capable, or using AI on the back end of an access control system to really be more sophisticated in how it internally it's monitoring your logs or monitoring your access activity. And I also see AI as a big, like a bridge between physical access control and cyber security access control. Like that's in the back end, and
That's
you're,
that
you're
whole convergence we've been talking about for years.
exactly this facilitates all of that, right?
Mm.
And then a third area is really, I think, incumbent on security designers and security integrators to also figure out how can they use AI to make their work product better or their work processes and workflows better. I think that area is still TBD. Everyone's kind of trying to figure out for themselves, like how can I use AI tools to make things better? But that's an area that everyone should be looking at, because going forward, the companies that excel or that can stay that are going to stay relevant are the companies that are using AI for themselves to help their clients.
Great. I mean, that's a great transition. And I kind of want to finish with this topic because it really is a critical one. I'm one of the old dogs. You're one of the new guns. Uh, that being said, we are definitely having a wave of retirements and deaths in the industry. I mean, I've lost at least a half a dozen close mentors of mine over the last 2 to 3 years that have passed away that were really pioneers in our industry, both from a technology and a leadership role. But when we get into our business organizations, we're not getting the influx of former NYPD and uh, FBI agents and DEI agents that we used to have proliferating, the corporate security ranks now. As we're seeing a new wave of retirement probably coming within the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a real need on the physical side. Now, I know the hue and cry, the battle cry has been, there's like 2 million openings for cybersecurity professionals, but this is something we really need to look at and take seriously in the physical side because we're losing a generation of security leaders in that group.
Yeah, absolutely. We're losing decades of security wisdom, right? And we really haven't built the bench behind that to backfill all of that, like you're pointing to, right? Why that's happening is, I think there's a number of different factors why that's happening. I think but it's very clear that we don't have younger generation, whether it's from high school or from college. We don't have an interest from that, as strong enough of an interest from that population as we should. I think part of it is awareness. I know that when I was in engineering college, um, I I wasn't aware of this career. I wasn't aware of low voltage systems and technology systems and
Right.
what it means to be a designer and security as well. Um, and so we need to increase that awareness. I think part of that is through podcasts, through short form media, right, to content, and being able to reach out to younger generations, make them aware of this career path as something really viable, and also that it can, it's something that could be fun. And there's a there's a role for any type of personality in the security industry, because there are so many different hats that need to be worn. And you can be a field tech, you can be a software designer, you can be an engineer. I mean, there you can be a project manager, a number of different things. Um, but I do also think, because you pointed out, we're not getting an influx of ex law enforcement or FBI coming into the industry. And I think partially that's kind of a good thing also. I mean, we need people.
We need more of the business-oriented folks here, I
We
believe.
need a diversity of those
Yeah.
backgrounds. Absolutely. And we need ex law enforcement. We need that type of skill set, but we can't just use that military or law enforcement background, because that comes with a specific way of thinking of security. We need everyone coming to the table, especially as security systems. They're really technology systems that are going to become more high touch, more personal. They're going to be more integrated. So there's a lot more behind how to design a proper system now.
Definitely. Well, Michael, I really appreciate you joining us here today. I mean, this is a great 60,000-foot view of the changing security landscape, and I appreciate you sharing your insights with the audience. And it's going to be fascinating to track how AI advancements are going to shape the future of video surveillance and access control and smart technology initiatives that are on the table. And I really hope that we can talk to you again. So, again, my thanks to having Michael Niola with us. And Sam, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Well, Steve, thank you. And our thanks to Michael as well for this outstanding status report on the state of the security industry and how advanced technology and best practices will ensure a secure tomorrow. And thank you for tuning in. This podcast is your go-to source for staying ahead in the security industry. It offers sharp insights, real-time trends, and straight talk for industry professionals. It's built to keep you informed and empowered wherever you are. Stay connected, stay sharp, and maintain security at the forefront. To access our podcast lineup, go to podbean.com and search for SecurityDNA. You can also find our podcasts on our Security Frontline, Integrator Newswire, and Security Week e-newsletters. This episode of the SecurityDNA podcast was recorded and produced by Samantha Schober. For Steve Lasky, Michael, and everyone at SecurityInfoWatch, thanks for listening, and keep an ear open for our next podcast.